Good afternoon, patrons and students and staff of the Grace Joint School District. We've been in a quarantine status and soft closure in our district for a month and 11 days today. And I just want to say thank you for all of your efforts in making sure that we're able to continue to teach and students are able to continue to grow and learn. I know it's very, very difficult. I've had a lot of feedback from a lot of parents, especially moms, who have struggled to try to make sure that they establish a routine and keep their kids learning and growing, and we appreciate that very much. I also want to express gratitude to our teachers who have worked tirelessly to provide instructional material and in a format that they're very unused to. I'd like to say that as a district, we've done very, very well. So I want to express appreciation for all the work that has been done and all the work that is going to continue to be done as we move through this coronavirus and move through this soft closure. One thing that I wanted to talk about specifically is that today, Idaho exceeded 1,900 cases of the coronavirus. The impact that this has made on our state, on our economy, on our schools, on our families is significant. There's been a lot of blessings that have come from it. There's been a lot of great opportunities to learn and to grow, and I think we'll emerge on the other side of it better than we came in. So with all that, there's new information from the Idaho State Board of Education and from Governor Little that I'd like to talk to you about first today. The Idaho State Board of Education came up with 4 criteria for re-entry into schools. The first of those was that all restrictions in Idaho were to be lifted. I don't know if you've watched Governor Little and his addresses, but we're not at that point yet. The second was that the local health district had to identify a peak for the virus in the state of Idaho, and then 14 days had to pass since the peak was identified. There has been no formal peak identified in Idaho to date. There's peaks on graphs, but there's still a considerable amount of people in the health district that believe that the peak is yet to come, and certainly that the peak is likely yet to come for our area. The third thing is that the local health district, so Southeastern Idaho Public Health, would have to say that it is safe to return to schools. And then the last would be that our local school board would vote to return to school. In our county, Caribou County, North Gem's board has already voted to extend the soft closure through the rest of the school year, and so is Soda Springs. Closing school will not be made formal in our district until our regularly scheduled board meeting, which will be May 13th, at which time our board will likely extend the soft closure throughout the remainder of the year also. But that is going to be a board decision. Governor Little, in his rebound.idaho.gov initiative, has identified key dates and key benchmarks to allow schools to and people to gather. Right now, in the stage that we're in, we're at the stay-at-home order, and Governor Little has extended that through April 30th. So right now, we still should be operating as we've done in a stay-at-home quarantine order. The next stage, first stage 1, is May 1st through May 15th. In that stage, the governor has asked us to still avoid any private or public gatherings of groups of 10 or more. Stage 2, May 16th through the 29th, allows for gatherings of 10 people, but still prescribes social distancing and still restricts groups getting together for sporting events or for movies or anything like that. So he still really kept us restricted in what we can do. On stage 3, which is May 30th through June 12th, then he's allowed gatherings of 10 to 50. But in our schools, we always will have gatherings of 10 to 50. And so those marks, those benchmarks, and those dates really make it hard for us as a school district to bring kids back and put people back in one location based on those guidelines. And stage 4, June 13th through June 26th, that is when he's finally allowing gatherings of 50 plus. So as you think about what the Idaho School Board's stance was, that all restrictions would be lifted, there's likely those restrictions won't be lifted until June 30th. The other thing is when I called and talked to Maggie Mann, who's our Southeastern Idaho Public Health rep, she talked about next year. So it's important that we consider the fact that next year is still in question, that an August start may be early. Governor Little also said that these stages are based on not having a significant increase in the number of cases in Idaho. So really we have to continue to do our part in an effort to try to preserve the next school year, and this school year really seems to me to be a foregone conclusion. So I know that may not be good news, especially for those of us that really like school. I love kids, and I know our teachers love kids, and I would really like to have them back. Nobody misses your children more than I do and more than their teachers do. But to be safe and to really protect our next school year, I think we need to strongly consider what the governor's asked us to do and do our best to comply with those restrictions and guidelines. A couple of things that have been brought up to me is grading. Grading is going to be based on effort, student effort. So if your child hasn't accessed the instructional material, make sure that they're getting with their teachers and they're finding that ability to access that. We've made our computer labs available. We have also, our buildings in a soft closure are still available as long as we practice social distancing and keep the groups to 10 or less. So that's very important, that your students are showing effort and that your teachers are noting that they're showing effort, because that's going to be a big part of how grades are going to be factored as we go to the end of the school year. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is the community cleanup. You know, as a school district, we pitch in with our students this time of year, and we walk the roads and the streets, and we paint the curbs, and we weed flower beds, and we do that so that we can give back to our community. Obviously, we're not going to be in school, and so therefore our community cleanup day, which is scheduled for Wednesday, May 6th, that day is going to be still designated as Community Cleanup Day, but we're asking that families help us accomplish that service. We're going to ask that you call the district office and that you sign up for certain streets. We'll have a map there, and we'll ask you if you'd like to pick a street or a portion of the highway that your family would take care of. Bags will be available at the city office through Mayor Bartlemay, and we'd ask that you fill those bags and leave them on the street side, and then the city workers will come and gather those up first thing in the morning, or if you're able to do it during the day on Wednesday, they'll gather it up before they go home on Wednesday night. But likely, if you can and you're willing to have your family participate in that service project, we will leave those bags and they will pick them up on Thursday morning when they come back to work. So I'd encourage you to do that and to participate in that, because it is fun to participate in service, and if we stay in families, we can still abide by the structure that the governor has put in place. The other thing I'd like to mention is kindergarten registration. On our website, sd148.org, you can go and register your kindergartners. To date, we've only had 18 register, so I'd like to encourage you to go there. There's a tab to the registration form to fill out, and also a tab for assessment, so you can see what your child should know before they come to kindergarten next year. Now we've asked that be done and completed by May 1st, so please make a note of that. The last thing we want to talk about is the preparations that we're making to recognize our graduating seniors. The year has been cut short. They've lost opportunities to compete for championships in sports. They've lost opportunities to perform in our spring musical. It's been difficult, extremely difficult, not just for our seniors, but for all of our students. But in specific to our senior students, we want to talk about what our plan is for graduation. On May 11th, we'll have the students come in. They'll come in groups of 6 graduates at a time. There will be stations that will be set up where they can maintain social distancing, but also they can talk about their plans after school. They can also talk about any scholarships that they may have received. They can also give their senior quote. We'll have a photographer, a professional photographer there that will take pictures of them in their cap and gown. We will also pre-record the speeches from the senior class president, the salutatorian and the valedictorian, as well as our commencement speaker, which will be Mr. Richard Condi this year. What happens after that is we compile all of that and we build a virtual graduation commencement exercise. We will be graduating on May 27th as it's scheduled. We'll ask that the graduates meet at the high school parking lot in vehicles at 8:30 p.m. There will be signage for each graduate on the front lawn of the high school. 2 tickets will be given for 2 vehicles for each graduate. We'll do a parade down Main Street. We'd like to invite all the patrons to come and line the streets and honk and recognize these seniors and for all that they've done and meant to our school, because it has been significant. Their contribution has been great. There's tremendous leaders in that group, tremendous athletes in that group, and we'd like to just send them off in style. So after we meet at the high school parking lot at 8:30, we will drive to the Idaho Drive-In Theater. And there the commencement will be projected on the big screen at the drive-in. Again, students are allowed 2 tickets for 2 vehicles, so they need to make sure that they get everybody that they want to in those vehicles so that they can come and observe that. That commencement will also be available via video YouTube link that we will make available on our district website. A couple of other things that we want to talk a little bit about is thank you to Mr. Brady and to the senior class leaders and to that class presidency. They've worked very, very hard in coordinating these graduation efforts. We're also looking for people to sponsor gift bags for the seniors. If you're interested in doing that, please go ahead and contact the high school office. Mrs. Murdoch will be taking names and coordinating those donations. Want to encourage students to stay in their vehicles, families to stay in their vehicles. That's one of the reasons why we're doing it at the drive-in, is so that we can maintain that social distancing and also abide by the restrictions that were put forth by Governor Little. Want to talk again about our food service. Mrs. Oppelnop and her staff are doing a great job. Meals are still being provided for students ages 1 through 18. 2 locations, Thatcher Elementary and Grace High School parking lots. We've been averaging about 230 meals a day. So we wanted to tell them thank you for what they're doing. If your child is in need, I know we're dropping off food at specific locations as well as homework. Homework is going out in one of 2 ways. It's either going out all based on the internet, or it's going out in packets. Please make sure that you're touching base, especially your secondary students, as they have a lot of courses and a lot of teachers and may be receiving that content in several different ways, that they're still accessing that information and that they're still learning and growing. One of the things that makes our district so great is the fact that we have such tremendous families. I feel like our families have been strengthened through this process, but we have always recognized that our success is based on the fact that we have strong family support. So please continue to support us as we work through the end of this year. Please continue to encourage your students to work hard on their homework, as grades will be based on effort. I want to tell you again, thanks so much for your patience and consideration for us, for our staff, as we get through this very difficult time. It is unprecedented, but like I said earlier, I believe that we'll emerge on the other side better than we came in. Thank you again so much for taking time to watch this video.